In Sydney, Australia, even as we speak, the Army has been called out to enforce lockdowns and their mandates about vaccinations and masks. In Pakistan, they've cut the SIM cards and phones to people who are unvaccinated and cut off the internet. And in France, there's a nationwide virtual strike outside of Paris of these cities and towns where people are, they call themselves the French resistance, are resisting these overall mandates. You just saw right there how brutally frank they are. We've talked about this now for months. Dr. Naomi Wolf has come on here. I want to just make sure, and I want to go back to Dr. Malone and Dr. Peter Navarro. The headline of the New York Times, the reason this is important as far as narrative goes, they were mocking and ridiculing people like Dr. Malone, even when he came on the show earlier this week and really laid out what the truth was. The headline today is, immunized people can spread virus, the CDC reports. And that was all supposed to be conspiracy theory up to the last few days. I want to go, Dr. Malone, Dr. Navarro, I'd like to read the second paragraph of this, have you respond. The vaccines remain powerfully effective against severe illness and death, and the CDC said infections in vaccinated people were comparatively rare. But the revelations follow a series of other recent findings about the Delta variant that have upended scientists' understanding of the coronavirus. I find that an incredible admission, Dr. Malone, and I would like to ask you, when you hear a phrase, recent findings about the Delta variant that have upended scientists' understanding of the coronavirus, what was the understanding of the scientists at the CDC and inside the government that have been upended by this, sir?
So the belief was that this vaccine was perfectly protective and perfectly safe. That's been the party line. Yet we've known all along that this is what's called a leaky vaccine. It protects in the range of 50 to 70% against infection and spread. But if you get infected, you still replicate and you still spread to other people. Now, this is clearly laid out. This is one of the bombshells in the new CDC deck. They show a bunch of graphs, and they show about the effects of universal masking. They kind of tweak the data, but what it shows is that this vaccine cannot protect us from rampant ongoing spread of Delta, no matter how much you vaccinate. We can't get there because the reproductive coefficient is about the same as chickenpox. It's really high, and it's in the range of 8. And the prior one was in the range of 2 to 2.5, the alpha variant. We just can't get there with a vaccine this leaky. So the logic of universal vaccination has been that we can get to protection and get to herd immunity with this vaccine, and that's just not viable.
Of a pandemic.
But Peter, hang on. But I think there's something deeper here, and I want you and Malone, because you guys have been at the heart of this, something deeper. That the official party line, and we've told science, believe the science, believe the evidence. You saw the White House spokesman yesterday. She couldn't even answer a question about facts. Just believe the scientists, believe the scientists. And then they admit something they heretofore said now, that the vaccine actually, you can actually get it and spread it. And then they say, they have this saying, hey, we're finding out new things about the coronavirus, or all our previous stuff was wrong. That's the problem is they make these assertions based upon facts they don't really put forward. And a year and a half into this, now they're saying, oh, we didn't really understand the coronavirus. Dr. Malone, Dr. Navarro.
That's basically another lie. What we're seeing is the effects of rampant groupthink and enforcing a common party line. In my world, with the leading virologists that are communicating with me, none of this is a surprise. We've all known this is going to happen. We know a lot about coronaviruses and coronavirus biology and replication. To say that the New York Times is really misrepresenting the truth under here, and it kind of reflects on the opening clip. What you had there was somebody who doesn't understand vaccinology and virology shooting off their mouth and insisting that we have to take an authoritarian policy when it doesn't even match up with the science. We've had a whole lot of people talking about their personal opinion and substituting it for evidence-based medicine. But this idea that the New York Times is promoting is part of this great pivot that they're going to have to do now, and it was laid out in the Washington Post article yesterday.
But the person you have, when Malone, the buried lead there is the great pivot. This is what I'm trying to get to, the great pivot. They're pivoting now. And by the way, you notice you've not seen in front of this is Tony Fauci. Tony Fauci's not in the White House at the podium. Tony Fauci's not sitting there saying we had this wrong from the beginning, that Tony Fauci, they say right there, had a basic misunderstanding of the coronavirus. That's not like something. Hey, this is so. Dr. Malone, when you say the great pivot, what do you mean?
So this was rolled out in Washington Post as they looked at this slide deck. They said that the CDC is going to have to pivot from its messaging before, and they're going to have to do it in public view. And it's going to be extremely difficult for them to do that in terms of public policy. And I'm just going to say it. What it amounts to is we can all see the lies now. They are transparent. There was a leaked slide deck. This is why Erin Burnett just lost her cookies the other day on her show, is because the press is coming to terms with the fact that they've been lied to repeatedly, and they've had this party line pushed at them. They bought it hook, line, and sinker. The rest, those that aren't dependent on Tony's money have been speaking out saying, no, this isn't right. There's no surprise here as far as I'm concerned. There is a certain amount of validation, and I'll admit that I have some pleasure in that. It's a little, I wish it wasn't the case, but now the government that's been promoting this noble lie strategy, where the vaccines are perfect, they have no adverse events, they can get us to herd immunity, all that's been known to be false. I've been talking about that for over a month now. Now they got to confront the fact they're caught in the lie.